My sister borrowed $200,000 from me, then flew to Europe with her husband and in-laws. 3 days later, she called screaming, "You have to stop this right now." There are moments in life that just shatter your entire understanding of family. For me, it wasn't just a moment. It was a betrayal so profound, so utterly audacious, that it made me question everything I thought I knew about the people I loved most. Asterisk asterisk, it felt like watching a slow-motion car crash, where I was both the driver and the helpless bystander. So, let me tell you about myself. I'm Adam. I'm 35, a film director. And look, I'm the kind of person who lives by call sheets, who juggles 1,000 tasks, the one everyone else counts on to keep things straight. My phone is basically a second brain, packed with notes, casting ideas, voice memos, sometimes just reminding myself to breathe. I don't drink on set, I never miss a deadline. And if you hand me a problem at 2 in the morning, I'll quietly have it solved before the sun even thinks about rising. My sister, Leia, she's 2 years younger. She calls me Hollywood, like it's some kind of insult. She's married to Brett, a guy who wears loafers without socks and sprinkles networking into every other sentence. Their group photos are always these pristine, identical smiles, posing in front of expensive countertops, marble, quartz, whatever's hot on Instagram that week. The night it all started, I was at my mom's house, just grabbing a box of old Super 8 reels I'd promised to digitize. Mom was fussing over a pie that definitely didn't need fussing. Leia and Brett were at the table, glued to their phones, their thumbs flying like they were being paid by the swipe. The TV was softly playing some travel show about Lake Como. Everyone pretended not to watch, but you could feel the room collectively glancing up, like the screen was pulling invisible strings. Leia didn't even bother to look up when I walked in. "Adam," she droned, still staring at her phone. "You're late again." I actually checked my watch. I was 15 minutes early. "I'm on time," I said. She just smirked at Brett. "Directors," she quipped. "Time is just a suggestion to them." "Hilarious," I replied, holding up the box. I brought Dad's old reels. Mom offered a strained smile, like the word Dad was a tender spot she had to protect. "That's nice, honey." We sat down, and there was this weird, crackling static in the air. Leia reached for the salad, her wrists clanking with bracelets that seemed to be keeping score. She set the bowl down, finally looking directly at me. "You'll be glad to know we've figured out your role," she announced. "My role? In the family?" She just shrugged. "You direct, we live. You invest in futures like ours, and in return, you get to feel useful. It's the ultimate win-win." Brett let out a little chuckle. "He's the structure," he added. "We're the story." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. The room went dead silent. The only sound, the soft piano music and the serene blue water from the TV. Mom cleared her throat. "Don't start," she snapped, but not at Leia. At me, as if I was the one who'd just assigned myself some made-up job. "I'm not starting," I managed to say. Leia leaned back, her eyes steady, unblinking. "Good," she said, her voice chillingly calm. "Because this is how it's going to be from now on. Adam, less resistance." For a second, I thought I'd misheard her, or that she meant something normal. But she held my gaze, and I felt this tiny, sharp snap inside me, like a thread finally breaking. I didn't say anything clever. I didn't explode. I just slowly put my fork down, folded my napkin with deliberate care, and said, "Okay." No one moved. Leia smiled, a smug, triumphant look, like she'd just nailed a perfect landing. On TV, someone dove into a sparkling lake. And somewhere, deep in my chest, a door slammed shut. I grabbed the reels and walked out. I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself it was just Leia being Leia. I told myself a lot of things. Until the night I opened my banking app and understood, with crushing clarity, exactly what less resistance meant. See, when I was 12, Dad handed me my first camcorder. He'd been laid off that month, so we didn't eat out. We ate grilled cheese, watched movies, and talked for hours about shots, about why some scenes felt real. When he died, that camera came to me. It felt like a baton in a relay race no one else wanted to run. I took night classes, I shot awful commercials, I filmed endless weddings for people who'd say, "Make us look like a film, Adam." Every single check, every dime, went to rent, equipment, or chipping away at the student loans that turned my 20s into one long, fluorescent-lit hallway. Leia, she didn't do hallways. She did skylights. New phones, exotic trips, new reasons to need money. And I was always the fix. I paid her deposit when her first apartment, unexpectedly, needed 3 months up front. I covered Brett's bridge month when he quit a job to launch something that never, ever launched. I paid a dentist bill, a car repair, another dentist bill. Each time, it came with a blonde smile and a promise. Just this once. You're amazing. We'll pay you back. Mom just fed the script. Your sister isn't built like you, Adam, she'd say. You're strong. You'll be fine. Translation, you recover fast so you can take another hit. When my first feature film premiered, Leia missed the screening. Yoga retreat. She sent a heart emoji and a rambling voice note about how proud she was, casually adding at the end if I could float her for 2 weeks. I did. Of course I did. And here's the boring part. The part nobody puts in a montage. Spreadsheets, tax folders, line items. The IRA I opened with $50 auto deposits. The production LLC with its own separate account, so my money wouldn't blur with investor money. The habit of photographing every single receipt like it mattered, because it absolutely did. Then, in January, I sold a script. The kind of deal with milestones, deliverables, and a wire transfer that actually made me sit down when the notification hit. A part of it was earmarked for crew bonuses on a brutal indie I'd just wrapped. A part was a down payment on a small house near the studio, so I could stop living out of boxes. The rest? Cushion. A glorious, soft cushion I'd never had before. I called Mom. Finally, she said, as if I'd just graduated from being merely useful to being very useful. 2 weeks later, Leia invited us all over. Big roast. New candles that smelled exactly like old money. Brett was already pouring glasses when I arrived. He clinked mine. To family ventures, he said. Red flag, but I set it down gently. We ate. We made small talk. The travel show was on again, Lake Como's water shimmering like a screensaver. Leia waited until the plates were stacked, then put her phone face down, like she was about to deliver a TED Talk. So, she announced, we're going to Europe. Mom clasped her hands. How lovely. With Brett's parents, Leia added. They've never been. It'll be, life-changing. A bonding experience before the next chapter. Next chapter? I asked. She shrugged. We're trying this summer. So it's kind of now or never for a long trip. Mom's eyes flicked to me, like I was the one signing the permission slip. I'm happy for you, I said. I meant it. Sort of. Trips are fine. Babies are fine. Life is fine. Leia took a dramatic breath. We are a little tight, though. There it was. Brett stared at the ceiling, as if finances were a weather pattern he couldn't possibly control. How tight? I asked. Leia laughed, a little too brightly. Not tight. Just, the flights are insane, and hotels in August are, Mom jumped in. Your sister deserves something nice. You work all the time, Adam. You never even use your vacation days. I just stared at them. My pocket buzzed. Production text, schedule change because a location pulled out. Under it, a weather alert. And under that, a PayPal request from Leia. Captioned, deposit. I didn't open it. How much? I asked again. Leia twirled a bracelet. We'll pay you back as soon as we're back. It's not even a loan, more like a temporary transfer. Temporary, Brett echoed. How much? I repeated, my voice flat. Leia took a deep inhale, like she was about to dive into the deep end. 200. I blinked. 200 what? She blinked back, playing innocent. 1,000. The room tilted. My brain did this weird thing where it separated syllables out of habit, like I was editing dialogue. Asterisk 2. Hun. Dread. Thou. Sand. Asterisk I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. No, Adam. Mom said sharply. Don't be cruel. Cruel? I countered. Leia set her phone upright, the screen black like a dead eye. We know you can. It's your role. My jaw locked. I stood up, grabbed my jacket. I can't. And I won't. Leia's mouth twisted. Wow, she bit out. Money changed you. I walked out. My hands shook on the drive home. I tried to breathe through it, those stupid, simple breaths. 2 days passed. I went back to set. I watched actors deliver lines about forgiveness I'd written months ago for a character who definitely wasn't me. I turned my phone upside down, trying not to look. Then, Tuesday night, I opened my banking app to schedule crew bonuses. The number stared back at me. Less. So much less. My thumb went cold. 2 transfers. Same day. External transfer memo. Travel. External transfer memo. Family support. Two separate amounts, with fine print about linked devices and existing authorization. I froze. I went to passwords. My phone. My laptop. My tablet. I'd kept them tight ever since Brett updated my settings for convenience a few years back. I'd removed every trusted device except my own, turned off Face ID for other faces. I scrolled payments. I scrolled again, and then I saw a third entry. Authorized user added, Platinum. My stomach lurched. I scrolled through the vault of scanned papers I keep for tax season. I sat there on my couch, holding my breath until my head throbbed. And there, buried after a folder of casting agreements, was a PDF labeled simply, Help Leia Mom. I opened it. A power of attorney form from 2 years ago. I'd been in Vancouver for a shoot, and Mom had a scare with the house. I'd filled one out temporarily, so she could sign a property tax thing while I was in the air. We'd never canceled it. I hadn't even thought about it since. I called Mom. She answered on the second ring, breathless. Don't you dare raise your voice at me, she began. I didn't say anything. I just said, Where's Leia? Don't you speak to your sister like she's a criminal. Mom snapped. Where is she? I repeated, my voice dangerously calm. Packing, Mom said. Their flight is in the morning. I stared at the wall. You used my form. It's family, she cried, as if that word was a magic key that unlocked every door. It's theft, I said. Silence. Then a soft, indignant cluck. You'll get it back. Don't be dramatic. $200,000. Temporary. Less resistance. A black screen like an eye watching me sit very still. That night, I didn't sleep. At dawn, I made coffee I didn't drink. I opened the shared photo album Mom insists on using for birthdays. A new upload popped up. Leia's boarding pass under a glass of airport champagne. Caption, CCO responsibilities, Chief Comfort Officer, I guess. Then Brett's photo of 4 passports fanned out on a marble counter. His, Leia's, his parents. Like a prize hand. I stared until my eyes stung. Then I turned my phone landscape and started taking screenshots. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was blocking a scene. Unknown number. European country code. I sent it to voicemail. It rang again. Same number. Then Leia's name popped up with a FaceTime request. I stepped away from the lights and answered, audio only. Her voice hit me like cold water. Adam, stop this right now. I'm working, I said. Turn it off. Whatever you did, undo it. Be specific. Her breath came fast, like she'd been running. The card doesn't work. The hotel says the payment reversed. The flight's home, there's some hold. Brett's parents are in the lobby, and everyone is staring at us like we're scammers. I leaned against a wall, staring at a dent where a prop had kissed the paint last week. Right, I said. Adam, she hissed. Mom said you'd be reasonable. This is humiliating. I sent documentation to the bank, I said. Fraud affidavit. The POA is revoked. Also, police reports filed. You filed the police? Are you insane? I kept my voice level. A lawyer's looped in. Leia, you signed an internal transfer out of an account you had no right to touch, using a power you never had. We'll let the bank sort it. You're taking this too far, she snapped. You don't want this to get ugly. Brett's dad knows people. We can make this very complicated for you. Leia, I said, you already did. Silence. Then the switch to manipulation, like a gear change. What about the baby? She asked, her voice suddenly quiet. We told you. We're trying. Stress isn't good. Do you want to be the reason? Don't. I warned. Do not put a pretend baby between my money and your trip. She sucked in a breath. Wow, she said. You really are heartless. I pulled my phone away from my ear, looking at her name glowing green like some alien signal. Put it back. I commanded myself. The crew bonuses go out Friday. The guys who worked nights in the rain, they're getting paid. The house closes in 2 weeks. My attorney will be in touch about a repayment plan and the criminal side. I'm also freezing anything with my name on it that you touched, and I'm notifying every lender who added you without my consent. You're ruining us, she cried. Over what? Over a family trip. Over $200,000 of my money, I said flatly. Over a lifetime of you expecting me to fix your choices. Brett's voice cut in from the background. Put him on speaker. Then louder. Adam, buddy. Don't call me buddy, I said. Look, clearly there's been a misunderstanding. We'll pay you back when we refinance. I laughed once. It sounded ugly. When you refinance what, Brett? Your vibes? Adam. Leia's voice was crisp now. Stop the chargebacks. Stop the report. We will wire something today. Send it to my attorney. Adam. She tried again, soft this time. Hollywood. It used to be a joke that stung. Now it was just noise. I have to get back to set, I said. This conversation is over. You'll regret this, she snapped. Mom will never forgive you. Then I guess we're all finally being honest, I said, and hung up. I stood there in the quiet corridor, a roll of gaffer tape at my feet, the smell of paint and cheap coffee in the air. I could hear my first AD calling for a reset. Somewhere down the hall, an actor ran lines under his breath. I walked back in, nodded at the camera, and said, from the top. The bank froze everything with my name on it faster than I expected. Fraud department, red flags, hold codes I wrote down in a notes app, one titled Leia. The POA got revoked in a conference room where my lawyer used phrases like egregious breach and unauthorized enrichment. I asked him if we had to go nuclear. He looked at the numbers and said, "You're already in the mushroom cloud." Mom left 8 voicemails the first day. The first 3 were pure anger. How could you do this to your sister? The next 3 were bargaining. Just lift the hold for one hotel, Adam. They're being embarrassed. And the last 2 were that tired, martyr voice I knew too well. You're tearing this family apart. I saved them all. I didn't reply. On set, I was steady in a way that honestly scared me. It was like directing on a cliff ledge. Your feet feel the edge, but your hands still draw the same straight lines. I watched dailies at midnight. I sent crew bonuses Friday, and one grip texted me a photo of a rent receipt with "thank you" and a heart. I stared at it like it was proof humanity still made sense. Leia's Instagram went quiet. Brett's parents' account did not. A post from an anonymous account popped into my DMs. A photo of them at a front desk, faces blurred. Text overlay. When your luxury plan meets reality. I didn't share it. I don't do public humiliation. I didn't need the internet to clap for me. I needed my money back, and my boundaries to mean something. By Monday, my lawyer had drafted a repayment schedule with actual teeth. Accountants put the numbers in a table that looked boring until you realized each cell represented a month of someone else's entitlement. Interest, defaults, consequences. He CC'd Leia and Brett. Brett replied 3 minutes later. We won't sign anything until we talk like adults. Family shouldn't involve lawyers. Leia replied 5 minutes after that. A paragraph about love and duty and how I'd forgotten where I came from. I wrote back one line. You can address counsel. That afternoon, the family group chat lit up. Aunties, cousins, people who hadn't sent me a congratulations text for my film, but suddenly had very strong opinions about my heart. The most common theme, blood. As if blood was a contract I'd signed in my sleep. I muted the thread and went for a walk around the block. Pigeons fought over a croissant. A man yelled at a parking meter. Life kept being exactly what it is. That night, Mom called from a blocked number. I answered, because I am, sadly, still me. She started with a sigh, like I was already exhausting her. You've made your point, she said. It's not a point, I replied. It's a boundary. Semantics. They're stranded. They are in Italy, I said, with access to 2 sets of parents. They are not stranded. She clicked her tongue. You've always been so cold. Mom, I said, keeping my voice even. I paid Leia's rent 3 times. I covered Brett's business launch. I bought tires for their car because they were dangerous. I sent cash when they lost a wallet. I let a temporary power of attorney linger because you asked me to. I am tired. Silence. Then the line went quiet in that specific way that means tears. I closed my eyes and leaned my head back against the wall. You'll ruin the relationship, she said finally. It was already broken, I told her. I'm just not pretending it isn't anymore. For 2 weeks, I lived in 2 timelines. One was tight. Work, sleep, lawyer, spreadsheets. The other was loud. Relatives' messages, a call from Brett's dad that started calm and ended with a threat he phrased as a favor. I recorded it, sent it to my lawyer. He laughed, but without humor. They're used to handshakes, he said. You're giving them contracts. 3 small things happened that shouldn't matter, but they did. First, my DP left a coffee on my chair with a note. For whatever they took. He didn't mean the money. Second, I went to look at a house. Nothing special. White paint, a crooked hallway, a backyard the size of a film trailer. The realtor talked about entertaining. I pictured a folding table with script pages spread out, a lamp, quiet. I put in an offer. I didn't tell anyone. Third, Leah texted me. I'm sorry, at 2:17 a.m. A minute later, can you call me? I stared at the screen until my eyes hurt. Then I put the phone face down and fell asleep for the first time in weeks. The next morning, my lawyer forwarded a wire transfer. The first chunk. It wasn't all. Nowhere close. But it was some. It came with a signed agreement after all. Minimum monthly amounts. Collateral listed as vehicle and non-retirement brokerages. I didn't gloat. I also didn't reply to Leah's apology. I let the document be the conversation. By Friday, the group chat had turned on itself. A cousin posted a paragraph about accountability. An aunt wrote, but family again? And another aunt wrote, he said no. It was the strangest sensation. People arguing about me like I wasn't even there. I closed the app. 2 days later, Leah swung by my apartment without warning. I opened the door to her face. Tired, puffy, less curated. No bracelets, no smile. Can we talk? She asked. We are, I said, and stepped aside, because I was raised by the same woman who taught me to always offer water, even when you wanted to throw the glass. She stood in my living room, looking small. I messed up, she said, and for a second, it sounded like truth. You stole, I said. She nodded. Brett said we could figure it out later. And Mom said you wouldn't miss it. And it felt like. She choked on her own sentence. I'm sorry. I waited. People think apologies are a spell. They say the word, and time rewinds. It doesn't. It just pauses. You still have to move. We signed, she added. We're paying. I sold some stocks. Dad. Brett's dad. She stopped. Whatever. I saw the transfer, I said. She looked up, hopeful. So, can you unfreeze the card? Just for groceries? For a few weeks? I shook my head. No. Her mouth tightened. I said I'm sorry, she repeated. And I said no, I replied. She stared at me like I'd become a stranger. Maybe I had. Maybe that was the point. On her way out, she touched the boxes by my door. Books, a small lamp, the framed production still Dad took of me at 17, with a boom mic too heavy for my shoulder. Are you moving? She asked. Soon, I said. To where? Somewhere quiet, I said. She paused, like she might say something real. Then she didn't. She left. The door clicked. My apartment felt huge. I closed my eyes and pictured Lake Como, blue water, piano music, a woman with bracelets realizing you can't buy silence anymore. People think closure is a speech. It isn't. It's a list you keep on your phone and actually follow. I closed the old savings account and opened a new one with actual human eyes behind it. I removed every trusted device that wasn't mine, double-checked that Face ID was just my face, and deleted the ancient, Scan POA, I should never have left floating like a loose nail on a set. I told my lawyer we were not pressing criminal charges for now, because I didn't want to tie my next year to courtrooms. I also told him that one missed payment triggers all. He said, good, in a tone that meant, finally. I bought the crooked house. The first night, in the quiet, I ate takeout off a moving box and listened to the refrigerator hum like a shy animal. I tacked a call sheet to the wall by the door, out of habit. Scene 1, morning. Scene 2, coffee. Scene 3, write something anyway. My brain kept waiting for my phone to explode, to shout me back into the role I used to play. It didn't. A text came from my grip. The bonuses saved my month. Another from my editor. We're locked. Those messages felt like small, specific blessings. The kind you earn. Mom hasn't been by. We spoke once. She tried to reframe the story without even hearing herself. It got out of hand. It was a misunderstanding. You could have handled it privately. I said I did. You made it public. She said, you're cruel, her voice shaking. I said, I'm consistent. When we hung up, I didn't cry. I made tea and trimmed an email, because that's who I am when nobody's watching. Leah and I text sometimes. Short, clip things. Logistics, payments, a photo of a grocery list with the word budget on it. Hers, not mine. I didn't respond with a lesson. I'm done being a coach for people who don't show up to practice. I visit Dad's reel on my new shelf and say out loud, I did it. He doesn't answer. He never did. He just stood next to me while I tried. Somehow that's enough. Brett sent a long apology email last week. It read like a legal document in a suit that didn't fit. He signed it with respect. I archived it. Respect isn't a paragraph. Respect is not touching what isn't yours. Respect is showing up when it's inconvenient and shutting up when it's time to listen. I saw a travel show last night while I was unpacking. Lake Como again, because the algorithm knows I stared at those photos too long. The piano music was soft. The water was pretty. I didn't feel bitter. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt here. In a house that's mine, with a lock that turns and a bank account that holds. I keep one rule posted on my fridge now. It's printed in 14-point font, like a script note. I am not your ATM. It's not cute. It's not a joke. It's a boundary. Simple, blunt, solid. Leia knows it. Mom knows it. I know it most of all. If you want the moral, it's boring, because good morals usually are. People will use you as long as you let them. They will call it family. They will call it love. They will dress it in bracelets and soft words. And when you finally say no, they will call you names, because their mouths have never practiced thank you without, again, attached. Say no anyway. Say it until the echo gets quiet. I'm Adam. I direct things. Shots, crews, my own life. The story I'm telling now has fewer characters, but better lighting. The conflicts are honest. The budget is real. And the last line is the only one that matters. I don't allow myself to be used anymore.